This is a lovely segue that we have today. We're going to be talking about National Honesty Day. Stephen Gaffney is here. He's an honesty expert. I guess he tells the truth all the time. And is he the author of Honesty Works, Just Be Honest, and Honesty Sells. Good to have you here, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.
So my mom, one of the things she pounded into my little pea brain when I was growing up was, if you just tell me the truth, no matter how bad it is, I will never get mad at you. And she totally lied when she said that, because she totally did get mad at me a couple times. But nonetheless, the point was, you know, be honest, and you know, you clear everything up, you get everything out on the table, and ultimately, it'll ultimately end up okay. Why then do Americans lie?
Well, because they get afraid. A good example, with all due respect to your mom, often people say, I love honesty. In fact, companies have plaques about it, and you know, in their vision statement, we believe in honesty. And then when people tell the truth, leaders get defensive, and sometimes people lose their jobs. So we say we love honesty, but the truth is we often model behavior that actually encourages people to be dishonest. The good news is there's so much that we can do to fix the situation.
Like what?
Well, one of the things is to model the behavior that we want and that demonstrates honesty. A good example is companies telling the truth and being full disclosure. And also when people are having a difficult time, that they're upfront about this. And one of the ways that we cause people to be dishonest is when we get defensive. For example, have you ever had somebody say, listen, you can tell me anything, everything's okay. Yeah. And then you give them some honest feedback and they flip out. Yeah. Next time they ask you for honest feedback, you say, forget it, I'm not going to go there, and I don't blame you. And I don't blame other people when that happens.
You can't blame people, though, for wanting to have honesty, but then also having an honest, visceral reaction to something that might hurt their feelings.
That's true, but we do need to be aware that when we create that and we don't balance that with, okay, listen, I understand that I'm getting upset, but I really do appreciate you being honest. If we don't reward honesty, then of course people are going to continue to lie. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but there was a study done years ago, but reported that 91% of people lie regularly. 91%. I actually think the other 9% lie. Are we talking
about humdingers, or are we talking about little white lies?
No, well, sometimes people say, well, it's a white lie. But I think the biggest problem in that why people lie regularly is lies of withholding.
Yes.
The big problem is not what people say, it's what they don't say. For example,
yes. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. So if I ask you in the morning, how are you?
This is Ellen, one of our panelists.
If I ask you in the morning, how are you? And you say you're fine, but you're really having, you know, stomach pains.
Well, you would consider that a lie.
Yes, I would consider that a lie. The average American lies how many times a day, says Cecilia Bach? I don't remember, but...
Well, again, going back to that research, 91% of people lie regularly, and I think the other 9% lied because we all lie. We all get afraid, and we have all kinds of rationalizations. It's a white lie. You know, I wasn't trying to hurt somebody's feelings, but let me ask you this. Have you ever had somebody not say something, and then they have not said something to you, and then they told you later what they really felt, and they said, I just didn't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
And you think, you know what? It would have hurt my feelings, but I could have dealt with it. What I can't deal with is the lies.
See, I think I guess it depends on the relationship. You know, if you're dealing with somebody at work, it could be, you might have to deal with it one way. If you're dealing with, you know, let's say you're breaking up with your boyfriend, and you don't want to treat them like they're pathetic, but you also don't want to just be, you know, honest and say, look, you know, it isn't you, it's me, but you know, nobody ever believes that kind of stuff. So, I mean, the situational circumstances obviously definitely have an effect.
Well, sure, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about honesty. I'm not talking about brutality. Name calling is not about being honest. In fact, I remember I had a participant in a seminar. She said, I'm glad you're here because I believe in honesty and people don't respect honesty in this company. And I said, why don't you give me an example? And she said, well, I tell people when they're a jerk, I tell them they're a jerk. Well, again, that name calling is not what we're talking about. We're talking about telling the truth, and something you brought up earlier. You know, when somebody says, it's not you, it's me. We all know that's a joke. Why don't we just tell the truth or say, look, I don't want to go there, and it's over. Whatever the case is, it's so important to be authentic.
Yes, I agree with you. Here, and one of the little bullet points that I have here that our producers put together is how to detect a liar. You say that there are 9 major indicators. These are, of course, will make me paranoid, and I will think that everybody's lying to me. But go ahead and let me know what they are.
Well, one we've kind of somewhat touched on where somebody actually doesn't say truthfully their emotions or what's going on. So actually one indicator is somebody who always shows the same emotion. For example, have you ever had somebody where you've asked them, how you doing? And they always say, great, great, everything's great. You know what? Not everything's great. Sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. Anybody who shows you one emotion is often indicating that they are lying about other things. Another thing that actually is a big indicator is watch who people associate with. People who associate with liars are generally a liar. And one way you can find out how somebody really is watch how they treat other people. If they backstab, if they talk behind your back or other people's back, guess what? One day they're going to do it to you.
Yeah, it seems so obvious, but sometimes you're like, well, they'll never do that to me, of course. I mean, we have a special relationship.
Yeah, but what if they're honest and they just say to people what they think? I tell people what they think, and it really angers people, but, you know, c'est la vie.
Well, okay, that happens, but then a lot of those folks that I encounter, they use that as rationalization why I'm not going to be up front, because they got upset. You know what? Boo-hoo on you. The point is, just say what you need to say and kind of, you know, we might say, man up, person up. Say the truth. I mean, look at John Edwards.
Question. I think older people do that a lot more. I mean, we just don't put up with it.
Well, what would be an example that you've seen?
I mean, just older people just tend to say, hey, I don't want to go. I don't, you know, we may say, oh, I'm too, you know, I have an appointment. Some of us, we're old bats. We just say, hey, I don't want to go.
Well, and here's the thing. The number one reason why people lie, the number one reason is they're afraid. They're afraid of what other people are going to think if we do tell the truth. You know, and as the generations get older and we have this big, huge baby boomers and they're moving to retirement, I think we need to remind ourselves, until we're that age, we don't know what it's like to be them. So what can we do if we have older parents and dealing with anybody is make people feel safe to really say the truth and not embarrass them for telling the truth.
The man who never lies. His name is Mr. Honesty. Stephen Gaffney, thanks very much. So your books, we have Honesty Works, Just Be Honest, excuse me, and Honesty Sells. And where can we find more information about you?
If they go to justbehonest.com, justbehonest.com, and I'll be more than happy to send them the article about the other indicators about people who lie.
Yes, definitely. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. We hope you were
honest
with us. Thank you very much. Very